Hello and welcome back to the Young Tongues podcast. My name is Barbara Fountain and I'm the founder and CEO of the Young Tongues, a peer-to-peer support group for young tongue cancer patients from across the globe. And with me, as always, is my trusted co-host, Jamie. How are you, Jamie?
Hello, how are you? I'm good. I'm good today. How was your day? You're at your end of the day.
Yeah, I spent today in the city doing some shopping. I needed some new dresses to take with me on my holiday to Switzerland. So, yeah, I'm shattered because I was walking around shops. But yeah, no, I had success. 4 new dresses. All good.
Wow. That sounds like a great day. Are you kidding? I would
Oh
love
yeah,
to do that.
it's really weird. I haven't done like I don't know about you, but when I was younger, I used to love going shopping and like spend a whole Saturday with my friend and trying everything on, and
Oh,
then
totally. We go to
like
the
go,
mall.
yeah, 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 and yeah, but I just don't do that very often anymore. So I find it more of a stressful experience nowadays because it's just like the sizing, like one size doesn't always do the same job, and yeah, but yeah. Anyhow,
Same.
I had success today, so that's all good.
Wow.
It's all that matters.
I can't wait to see them in your
Oh yeah,
holiday photos.
absolutely. Just watch on Insta. I'll load them all up. Right. So where were we? It's not that long ago we spoke with each other, and
No.
we in our last joint episode, I have to say, we spoke about the first part of your radiation experience, and I thought, you know what, let's just dive straight back in and cover the second part. So, if I remember correctly, we left off that you left the first day of your very first radiation session. So, I guess my question is, what was that evening like?
I think I remember getting in the car. I cried because it was just like such a buildup. And then I kind of went home and just went to bed. I just rested. There wasn't anything different I felt in my body yet. It was just okay. One done. We had like a little paper chain thing for my kids, and we ripped it off just like a countdown to Christmas, but it was the radiation. So we did that, and I was like, okay. And I went to bed, and I was okay. I remember thinking, okay, that wasn't so bad. I got the first one done. Okay, I can do this for
Mm,
29 more times.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess instead of going through every single day, which I'm sure you won't remember the antics of every single day. But I guess what I think people would be interested to know is when did you first start feeling side effects, but like mild side effects? How did they announce themselves first to you, and which side effects did you have first? I guess.
Right. So, before going in, they give you the list of side effects, and they give you kind of a timeline of when you should be expecting these to start showing up. And the timeline is roughly around the 2 week mark, 2 to 3 week mark. They say, oh, people start getting these symptoms. I got my first symptom, I would say, very early on, which was nothing. It wasn't something they told me would happen. You could get them early. But my mouth super dry. They told me dry mouth was going to be like a big issue, but it was like, think of like the worst dry mouth you've ever had, and you cannot quench it. You cannot, anything you try does not help it. It's like the Sahara Desert in your mouth. And I got that around day 10.
Hmm.
Not
And
10
did
treatment, but day 10 of it.
day 10, yeah, and did it stay like if we're just talking about dry mouth for a moment, did that level of dry mouth stay stable and the same the longer you went in, or did it get worse? And if so, what did that feel like?
It got worse because on top of that, there were the thick mucus. So here you have dry mouth, and then you have thick mucus just kind of like coagulating, just sitting. And you can't, like, think of like you have a dry mouth and you need to clear your throat of like a lump. Like, I don't know
Mm,
if like you got like, oh, like just, I think like oatmeal or something, or like, I don't know, something very congealed in your throat that you're trying to get up and you just can't.
mm, mm. And did you find any things that helped you soothe the dry mouth or manage it?
Um, I mean, I constantly had a water jug, always drinking water, but they recommended some gel that I would to put on my gums, like underneath, and it's like to help before I went to bed. But that didn't really help. I mean, it was to the point where it was quite severe. And then they give you like these things called xylomelts, and you're supposed to
Mhm.
put them like in your cheek or like stuff under there, and the saliva will help make them
It
dissolve.
pre
But
yeah, it
I don't have any saliva. So they had to, they just, I remember trying to sleep and I woke up and they were like, sliding out of my mouth. I'm like, well, they never dissolved. It's like 8 hours later. Or one was, I was like choking on one waking up. So all the things
mm,
that they suggested didn't help. So I just was like, okay, we're just going to soldier on. I have my water and we're just going to wake up every 15 minutes. It was the worst at night, which it often is. And I would just wake up like every 15 to 20 minutes and I had a spray bottle, like a cat or like a house plant that you spray. And I would just like spritz my mouth and, or I would drink my water. But it was always like waking up with uh, like a puff of sand coming out of my mouth that was so dry.
oh dear, yeah. So that is something we hear a lot from across the community, and actually all the things you just prescribed or described is something that a lot of people use. Another one that I hear a lot or see a lot in the chatter is humidifiers
Oh
can
yeah,
be
I
quite
still use
helpful.
one till this day. A humidifier, diffuser, and it was like, and I have one where you can turn the nozzle, and I would have it point right at my face. So not only would like I still use it, but it also cools you down. You don't know if you're sweating or if you're just moist from it, but it's very helpful to get one that has the nozzle so you can like direct it where you want it to hit instead of just going straight up into the room.
Mm, mhm, mhm. So we're at day 10. Side effects start to make themselves known. Um, what else do you remember from that time? But around 10 days in is probably a good time.
So the dry mouth, after day 10, all the side effects started to make their way. So I noticed, next was so I mentioned the mucus, and it's really thick mucus, not like saliva, like I can't even say the word mucocus or something, but they had it down on paper.
Mucositis.
Bingo.
Mucositis, yeah.
Mucositis. Um, And then I started to get the sores, not on my tongue that really bothered me. I got them all on my gums and like on the inner of my lip. So that made it really hard to, obviously, I wasn't chewing any food at all. So from this point on, I was still on like the protein shakes and the liquid. And I'll get more into that. But it hurts so bad. Just think about when you like, you have a sore or if you bite your lip or you get even if you get your lip sunburnt, it kind of felt like that too, how they're just like, tender. But
Mm.
I have a picture that I took and I like pulled my lip down and it was like a row of 5 blisters. And
Oh,
those were
God.
so painful. But on top of that, you're showing up every day to do your treatment and you have to put these mouth guards in to do your treatment. And
Oh, God.
it was so painful. And the blisters, I could feel them in like the inside of I mean, I couldn't feel them on my tongue, maybe because I didn't feel anything on my tongue, but so I had them in my cheek. I had them everywhere. And I felt like I had them like down my neck as well. And then after the blisters, I could see the burn starting to happen on my neck, and I'm quite fair. So they said that it was a little bit more severe than they expected, but they did expect me to get like a burn on there. So then they gave, or they just told me to use Aquaphor.
Oh wow,
That was it.
okay. That's it. So I was just going to ask. So do you have blisters on the inside of your throat and then burns on the outside?
Yeah, and the burns started to blister. That's where they're like, "Ooh, we may want to put some Aquaphor on that." Like, and these are the
And
radiation techs telling me because you don't see your radiologist every day when you go in to get treatment. You see them like maybe once a week or maybe every 2 weeks into treatment, and they just check on you to see how everything's doing.
yeah, and they didn't tell you about using any creams in advance to sort of soothe, because I know again, that's another thing with having a community now. You didn't have that luxury, but lots of people um, recommend a whole host of different creams that you put on before you start radiation and throughout to try and help reduce the risk of burns on the outside.
Yes, and I'm glad you brought that up about starting it before you start radiation, because the only thing that I was told to start doing before radiation started, now that I remember, was the warm water salt rinses. They said if I
Oh,
started doing that, it might help with the blisters. I'm like, okay. And talk about putting salt on a wound. They wanted me to continue doing that through radiation to help with the burns. And I get that it's supposed to help, but the pain was just, I wasn't willing to do that all the time. I did it once
yeah.
in a while, but it was just too painful. But they did recommend to start doing that before, but they didn't tell me that until like maybe 3 days before. So I don't know what
Okay.
the timelines
'Cause
are.
yeah, I remember salt water from
Oh,
after surgery. It's like, oh, but it's better than some of the mouthwash they gave me, which stained my teeth and made them all yellow. And I was like, no, I'll stick with the salt water. Thank you
oh
very
my
much.
gosh. Oh,
Yeah, I had really like yeah, we haven't mentioned this. So if anyone like post surgery or probably radiation as well, because that might happen, has like really yellow teeth, it could have something to do with the mouthwash you're given to. And so don't stop with the mouthwash, like don't talk to your team. But once you feel better, I think it was about 6 9 months after, I went to my dentist and I had a deep clean, and it got rid of all the yellowness because it was basically top level stains. It didn't sink her in, so they basically scraped it all off. And at which point, and it wasn't painful either. It was just a bit uncomfortable, but not painful. So yeah, just a little side note. I want to talk about pain, and I think you brought up a really good point about that you can feel everything in your mouth. And I know that we've brought this up in a earlier episode, but I just want to remind everyone because I found this so helpful. My GP told me about this, and this time I have the right thing in front of me, which is, if you're watching on YouTube, you saw me probably typing something a second ago. It's called, if you Google this, you Google homunculus, 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 and you'll get an image search, and you'll see this really weird figurine. I'll put it into the notes as well, the show notes. I mustn't forget. I will forget, but yeah, Google it. And you get this little strange man. It is a man. I haven't found a lady yet. Maybe they call differently. And it basically is like a little figurine. It's got massive hands, got a fairly big private parts, and then has like a normal sized head, quite big ears, quite big nose, but quite big lips and a massive tongue. And what that illustrates is where we feel the most. So our hands, we have such fine motor skills in our hands, and you can go over surfaces and feel exactly what's happening underneath your fingers. And the same goes for your tongue, but in proportion, the tongue is even bigger than the hands, because the tongue's quite a small thing actually in your mouth. So that just goes to show like how sensitive we are with our tongue, with our mouth. Like as soon as some food gets stuck anywhere in your teeth, you can usually feel it if there's something somewhere stuck. And that can be a tiny little grain that you can barely see, but you can still feel it. So I think that's a really important illustration, which sadly also means that if you're going to have sores in your mouth or anything in your mouth that is painful, the pain is going to be so much higher than if it was a cut to your elbow, right?
Yes.
Um, so just to sort of have that explanation of pain, and I guess my question to you, Jamie, was like, did you have a regimen to manage pain? What type of conversations did you have with your radiologist about managing pain? What were the options?
Medication, they said, they could start with like hydrocodone, and then as it gets higher, I did have fentanyl that helped with the pain. It's so severe, but even I had a pain management doctor, and he was like, okay, next step is morphine. Like, is it that bad? I'm like, no, no, like, but they were willing to, like, they're like, what can we do for you? I do feel like I had really good care, and that they just felt so bad for me. And like, they could see the blisters, so they could just, like, I think now that they could see it, I felt that they were more compassionate, given that this was, they, I have this cancer and I'm young, and they don't see like people my age at radiology, like it, even like I'm walking in, I was the youngest one in there, but like I just felt they were trying to do whatever they could for me. I really do feel like they were, even if they just said, oh, put some Aquaphor on it. When it got to like day 29, they were like, okay, we need more than Aquaphor. What can we do?
Mm,
But yes, I took even like, I did take something to help me sleep. I forget what it was, but even that, I was like, if I could just sleep, I won't feel anything, and rest is what I need. So I did sleep a
mm,
lot to help with not having to take so much.
mm, mm.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And again, like just a disclaimer in terms of the podcast that every, basically, if you're about to have radiation or going through radiation and you're in pain, tell your team. Don't
yes,
be silent
it's
about it.
okay.
And they will, it's okay. And they will find the right drug for you.
Absolutely.
I noticed you mentioned fentanyl,
Hmm.
and there's obviously, especially in the States, a lot of discussion about that drug.
Yes.
I was never offered it here. I was on a lot of morphine, like from the surgery. I loved morphine. I had a fantastic party on it. But fentanyl wasn't really an option. But I don't know. I don't quite know. I know they're both opioids, but I don't quite
Hmm.
know how they work and how they differ. Again, for a future podcast, if there's anyone like a pain management expert, someone who knows all the drugs, come and tell us about all the different drugs
Yes,
and tell us about the
please.
differences between them.
Yeah.
With the when they offer, just out of interest, sorry, this is me being really nosy and curious. When, because you live in the States and because of everything that's happening with fentanyl, when they offered it to you, were you a bit like how did it make you feel, or were you like, I'm in that much pain, I don't care, I will have it, or
Um,
did you sort of ask, you
you
know?
know, I was really trusting of my radiologist. If she was suggesting it, and yeah, when you're in that level of pain and they're suggesting like, hey, we're going to do this. It's not long term. We're going to try it. And yeah, they would give it to me there. It wasn't like I went home and I had it. Um,
Mm,
so I felt it was controlled. But yeah, at that point, if she suggested that, she knew best, and my life was in her hands to like help me manage just to get through, so I would make it to the end to ring the bell. because
Mm,
the
mhm. No.
pain, yeah, when your mouth, like you said, the mouth, when it's all you can think about and it's maddening and it's so much pain, you're like, okay, you recommend this? Yes, I'm going to do that.
Mm. It's interesting though, they gave it to you in clinic and it
Mhm.
was really controlled and that sounds like the sensible way to do things. But I think we'll have to talk about this in a future episode and circle back to pain, because we do sometimes have questions about how to ease off the painkillers after you've had surgery or radiation or chemo. I know, like, I got a whole massive bottle of liquid morphine. Yeah, yeah.
Whoa.
So yeah, when we got home, not from the hospital, we got home. We had the side effects. I had this. I was in a lot of pain, and my husband went to my doctor because I couldn't do anything, and they just prescribed us a massive bottle of liquid morphine. And he came home with this and he was like, I don't quite know what to do with this. Bearing in mind
Wow.
all the other like tablets and stuff. And I sort of looked at him and went, actually, because it took like a day to get the prescription. So within that day, the pain had actually subsided a bit. So I said, okay, we'll keep it, but actually let's not open it for the time being.
Yeah.
Um, and actually, we ended up having that bottle in our house for at least 3 months, and that's when I said, "Right, I'm getting rid of it." And like everyone in my family, or Nick's family, and people I know were like, because I brought it back to the pharmacy for it to be disposed, and everyone's like, "Why would you do that? You might need it one day." I was like, "Exactly, that's why. I do not need any drugs in my house that I don't necessarily need, if that makes
Yeah,
sense." So
absolutely. But and
yeah, so
I can't believe you had this bottle. Like there's like here. I mean, I could I could see why obviously they do it, but like you can understand like they will prescribe what you need for your pain because it is your mouth. They understand. And my doctors did understand. Like my radiologist, she got me through it.
mm.
But yeah, like they're like, yeah, it's the mouth. Like we're gonna give you like the good stuff to
Yeah.
get you through it.
Yeah. And then you need to have the trust in your doctors that they're also going to get you off it in a way that is not detrimental in terms of your pain threshold, but also in terms of addiction and other
Yes,
health
yeah, that is a conversation that
challenges.
will be had when they're prescribing and they put you on. If it is a problem, your doctor should be the one to have a schedule to like gradually get you
Mm,
off of it.
mm.
That yeah.
Okay. So we've got blisters, we've got burns,
Let's
we've
keep
got dry
adding
mouth.
to it. Let's keep adding to it
Yeah.
because
So where are we in the timeline sort of?
definitely into the 2 week where, and I would say 3 week, like by week 3, which is the halfway mark, I couldn't talk. I couldn't open my mouth at all. So I was talking like this. I said, oh, no. Already I was kind of muffled. So any progress that I made from speaking from tongue surgery to the start of radiation, all that speaking progress with speech therapy, gone. The speech
Mm,
therapist was like, don't even worry about it. We'll catch up with you at the end of radiation. I'm not even, it's just going to make you upset. So I was done talking. I was done opening my mouth. So this also came to the point where I couldn't handle the protein shakes anymore. It was too thick. Water, nothing tastes good. I can't taste everything. Water started to taste like sewage, like how sewage smells. So even water, and it kind of burned. So I thought that I was like, well, what am I going to do if I can't drink water and I can't drink the shakes? They're too thick. So everything was burning. I found on Amazon because actually the radiation therapists were like, oh, usually we have free samples of stuff you can try, but we don't have any. But this is on Amazon, so even the doctors are like, oh, you can buy that on Amazon. Go get that on Amazon. You're good. It was called Boost Soothe, Soothe. And it was high calorie, so like a protein shake, but it was really thin, like water, and it was like mentholated. So you would drink it, and it was in a little juice box. So you would drink it, and it would just cool, everything, like a cough drop going down. And you got your calories in, because that was also another thing. Now that I couldn't get anything down, I was losing a lot of weight, and I opted not to get the feeding tube. And when they check on you at the halfway mark, they tell you it's too late to get it in. So I was like, okay, but this stuff, it's on Amazon. And if you are doing radiation, you need to stock up on this, because you will need this, because it's thin, mental, like it's soothing. It's not like over, like it's going to burn you, but it's soothing and it's high calories.
I didn't know that there comes a point where you can't have the feeding tube. I just
That's what they
assumed.
told me. It was too late to put it in. They were like, no,
Oh,
you're going to go through it. So maybe they thought that I could handle it, or yeah, they were like, no, you're at your halfway mark. We're not going to do
mm,
this. Like, so I don't know how they do. I never had the stomach one, but that's what they were, I guess,
yeah,
going to do.
yeah, because then the nasal one wouldn't make sense because you're obviously
Yeah, so
having
I
radiation
guess
there.
it was
So,
a surgery or procedure. They were like, we can't do that now, because also, you're immunocompromised, and it's in the middle of COVID, and you opted not to do this, so we can't do it now. And that was probably the one no I got from them.
how was your weight? Like because you've always been a sexy slim lady.
I,
I mean this in the most positive way, but you must have gone really
I got
like too
very thin.
skinny.
Yeah, I was under 100 pounds by the end. Um, Yeah, because I couldn't eat for a long time, even after radiation was done. I wasn't eating, because nothing. I couldn't even chew, or everything takes a while to heal, as we know. So, yeah, I got down to about 90 something pounds. So they were very concerned. They even recommended, after radiation was done, they're like, start putting sticks of butter in your shakes, which is so funny, because everybody's always like, oh, you gotta be, if you eat healthy, keeps cancer away. I was like, girl, I cannot eat healthy. I can't even eat it all. And they're telling me to put butter in my freaking protein shake.
Oh,
It's so
oh,
weird.
I just for all the continentals, the non-Americans
Oh,
amongst
yeah.
us, 90 pounds is a shocking 40.8 kilograms. 100 pounds is 45 kilograms. Jamie, that is child
Yeah. I
like.
looked, I looked sick. Like, if anytime I go, yeah, you just look sick. Like, I know it with my mouth, but also we wore a mask this whole time, so I felt comfort in covering up my mouth the whole time. But I just looked like I was
Mm,
sick.
yeah, and sorry, I also just looked it up for the English people in terms of stone.
Oh yeah.
That's 7 stone. That's 7 stone.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
Yeah, that's nothing. Oh my god. Okay, so because it's a really really important point because you're not having enough calories, but it's not just the calories, it's all your other nutrients that you would usually get, your fiber, your carbs, even your some sort of sugars and especially your protein, so your fats.
Yeah.
So wow, okay. Yeah, I can understand why they told you to put butter in your
And they're
shakes.
like, we got to get it up, and I think
Mm,
also at the point when I asked for a feeding tube and they said no, I wasn't that bad off. This was like at the very end, and they were like, okay,
yeah.
this is severe. Like, we need to get you on something. Um,
Mm,
but so I couldn't speak by the halfway mark, and my neck gradually got worse. The burns were pretty bad. Um, and then I was able to drive. So I live in Orange County, and my radiation was in Los Angeles. So from Orange County to Los Angeles, it's about an hour drive. So I was driving myself to and from appointments every day, because I could handle it. No more. Like, after, I would get in the car after my session and just pass out. Like, you're just laying on this table for 10 to 15 minutes, but you feel the energy just drain from you. You can't do it. So
Mm.
my parents, I was lucky enough, my parents moved in while this was going on, and my dad would take me to and from, and he would just drive, and I would just sleep in the car, come home, get out, and go back to bed. I just felt
Mm.
I
Did
physically
you
couldn't do anything.
Yeah. Did you feel nauseous at all? Did you get sick or
I never got
dizzy or any?
nauseous.
No. Oh,
Dizzy,
that's good.
yeah, like standing up, it would go black. I thought just because I had no energy, when you stand up too fast and it goes black for a little bit and then comes back out.
Mm.
That happened all the time, but I was like, you're tired. And I didn't want to open my mouth. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't even want to be around my family when they were eating because of the chewing and how they were just like so nonchalantly just eating. And I was just like starving and I can't talk.
Mm.
And I was like, I want to sleep and I don't, I
Mm.
don't want to be present for anything right now.
Mm. At that point, do you feel hungry? Or
No,
does the hunger disappear?
and I always like wanted a cheeseburger, but then like, yeah, it's just you think about the mechanics of it. You don't want to do it. The pain was so bad, you don't want to do it. And
Mm.
then at one point, I remember I had all these contraptions when I sleep. So I had the diffuser or the humidifier. I had my spray bottle to spray me down in the middle of the night or every 15 minutes. Um, and then I also had this machine. Think of like when you're at the dentist where they put the little vacuum in to suck up all the gunk. They gave me that machine to take home and I could get all the thick mucus out because that was also just sitting there and I couldn't clear it and it was just thick.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah. So, and I guess so. Taste. We only touched on it very quickly, and I know by this point you're basically nil by mouth. But you said
Hmm.
even water tasted sewagey,
Yeah.
in your words.
Everything tasted like no, either it tasted like
Mm.
nothing or it tasted like shit, like just rotten, like
Mm.
it's not good. The only thing I could handle was like really, if it was really really cold and yeah, it was soothing, I could handle that. So I basically lived off these little juice box things.
Amazing. Yeah. Oh God. And I think this is the point during this episode that we just need to remind people who are listening to this. Many, I'm sure, will have had radiation and been through it, and will be nodding away and going, "Yep, I remember that. I remember that."
Hmm.
And some of them might have not had a side effect, or might have not had it quite as severe as Jamie,
Yeah, it
whereas others
varies.
varies, and others might have had a different side effect that we haven't even mentioned. So I just always want to remind people when you're listening in that I know this sounds horrendous, and it sounds like, let's be honest, it sounds like the last thing you would want to do ever ever. You would never choose to do this. But as Jamie said in the last episode, you have cancer, and in order to make the cancer go away or make sure that it is away fully, you have to go through this radiation. And the great thing is to know that there's a whole raft of people who have been there and gone there before and have had all the different side effects, across the entire community. So if you're struggling right now, or if you are at the end of your tether, go onto the group. Don't read through all the comments and everything. That's never worth it. Don't do that. Just type your question and the answers will come to you. People will comment and will give you their experiences and their recommendations. And I've heard so many different things people have tried from, with varying degrees of success. Always check with your medical team first that you're not doing any damage. But a lot of these things are always worth having a go. And for some people, they can make an experience so much easier, and they work. And for others, they try other things and then they work for them. So Yeah, and one of the things I've really picked up from the chatter, and I don't know if you agree, Jamie, is whenever somebody says I'm about to have radiation, there are so many people that are actually sharing their pre-radiation routine, and how they prepped themselves for radiation. Um, be that with extra hydration, extra calories, try and consume as much as you can, prep yourself for it, exercise, walking, fresh air,
Hmm.
but then also your facial creams, and beyond that, I must admit, I can't quite remember all the different steps there were. Getting the right dehumidifier, and I remember it was Stacey, I think there was like a thread of about not dehumidifiers but humidifiers, and it was like a whole like section of people comparing the ones they had, and this one was good and this one wasn't good. So we don't endorse or anything like that, but we
Yeah.
are encourage everyone to share their experiences, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And like I said before, you will always get an answer, and everybody's experience is so different with how they went through treatment and even surgery. Like, you will find something there that will work for you. And like, when you're in this position of cancer, you will try anything. And even if you're pain, like, I'll try it. I'm going to try it. Like, I definitely took all the suggestions. I was like, yeah, you know what? I should try it. What else do I have to lose? Like, I'm going to try it and see if it works. And a lot of things I did try, and I'm like, I'm so glad I did that. I'm so glad I tried it.
Mm-hmm. So we're getting towards the end of your
Yeah,
30 days.
let's get to like the last week, because those weeks 3 through like 9 or uh, no, 9. I was like 6 weeks. Um, they're just the same. Like, I couldn't open my mouth, and just not being able to drink like the hearty shakes. Um, the last week was so hard, and radiation, it is the hardest thing that I've ever done. Um, Before I started it, my radiologist even said, like, this is a very morbid treatment. You're getting radiation to your mouth. Okay. Be prepared. This is going to be shit. Like, and she's so cool. Like, that's what I want. I want cut and dry. But the last week, I was like, I cannot do another. Can't, I've had enough. Like, I've already had like 26 or something. And I remember I was standing at the sink, because remember, there's a little sink that you put your mouth guards in, and that before you go lay down on the table. And I'm trying to put these mouth guards in, and I can't do it. And blood's just like pooling out of my mouth because it's so all the sores. And I'm just standing there. And I just looked up, and I was like, I'm sorry. And I said I was sorry to like the radiation techs, because I know there's somebody in the waiting room that needs this room for their treatment. And here I am taking longer than my time. And I was just like, I can't put them in. I can't. And they were just so lovely. And they're just like, it's okay. Take your time. You can do this. You can do this. And I just remember being like, I don't think I can. Like, we've had enough. Like, come on. And they're like, you can do it. And they took my time, and I just shoved them in there and breathed through my nose and got on the table. And that's how it was like the last 4 sessions. Just like, I wanted to quit. And I would have quit. If they would have just let me walk out, I would have quit. They're like, you're almost there. Like, you have to have that pep talk to get you through, because it's so bad. I wish it wasn't. My side effects were bad, and not everybody has the same side effects, but mine, I was at that point, you're just like, it sucks. And I just didn't know. I was like, we've done enough. It's fine. It's fine. But no, they got me through the finish. If it was up to me, I wouldn't have finished. So, but I did. But I did, because of them and their patience, and they were lovely, and they were like, come on, let's go. And I got through it, and I rang the bell, and I'm just so happy. Even like we walked out, my husband was like, we hope to never see you again. Sorry, bye. Like, just, it's just okay. That's one thing done. I never have to do that again. It's done. But then after that, you have to heal from all of this. And, it's the 2 weeks after you're finished with radiation is the hardest, because your body's trying to heal. And it's they prepare you for that too. They do tell you this is going to be hard. You know, even though you're done, it's going to be the hardest 2 weeks after.
Mm. Yeah, that they say that the radiation itself is still working for like another couple of weeks after. So even though you're not having active treatment anymore, the actual peak is after you rang the bell, which seems so cruel
It,
because you
yeah,
get this moments of relief, and then actually the next day, I mean, what was that like? When did
terrible.
it get worse?
Yeah, yeah. So it did get.
But how can it get any worse? I mean,
I
I'm
know.
listening to it, and I mean, Jamie, we know each other very well by now, and I love you, and I'm listening to you, and it's breaking my heart, and I'm just like, oh God, and I could have never be a radiologist technician because I would go, yes, honey, you've had enough.
I
I, you
know.
know,
I know. They were just
you know,
like,
hats off to them to keep pushing, but it's like, oh my God, and it gets worse. How can it get any worse?
it gets worse. Like, I think mentally, I'm like, I ring the bell. We're done. Now we're all going to start healing. Like at the mental side of it. And then the blisters kept coming. They didn't go away. My neck was blistering and opening. I still couldn't eat. I was like, oh, maybe I can start eating stuff. No. Taste, nothing. Everything was the same as if I was going in, if not worse. The blisters did get worse. And that was for like 2 weeks after. That was right. The 2 weeks, it was severe. And
Mm,
yeah,
mm.
I documented everything. And mentally, it really messes with you because essentially you're done with treatment and they just send you on your way. But by the way, it's going to be really, really bad, but we're not going to see you until the really, really bad part's over.
Oh, so you don't have any
I
checkups?
have
You don't see them?
You see them after, like, I think I saw them after, I want to say before the 2 weeks, maybe like at the 10-day marks, but you don't see them directly after, no. And especially with COVID, it was probably pushed back maybe even more. But I do feel like I saw them before the 2 weeks because then they were like, we're gonna prescribe you burn cream. So I did have like, I don't know, some whatever they give burn victims, they put on my neck too.
Mhm.
So I was like, oh, thank you. That would have been helpful like 3 weeks ago. But
Sorry, I'm laughing because
y-
that's always what happens. You're like,
yeah.
"Why didn't you tell me about this earlier?"
And
It's like,
also, it's
Jesus.
like, at this time, every time I go in and see her, my mouth is, I have a mask on. All she just sees is my eyes. And I'm a very cynical, sarcastic person. And yeah, you want to say all these things like, yeah, that would have been helpful, but it's just my eyes being like, I never nodded so much in my life. Like, I'm just like, I want to say all these things. I want to show you my personality about how I'm really feeling in this moment, but I can't. So I'm just going to nod. And that
Hmm.
messes with you too because you don't have a voice.
Okay, so 2 weeks passes. You count the days. Every day feels either worse or just
Mm,
shit. When was the first glimpse that you got that you thought, "Oh, something's changing. Something's feeling a bit better," because it's not from one day or another, it's gradual,
no, it was
I
like a
assume.
month and a half after I started. I noticed I could open my mouth a little bit. The blisters have gone down. Another thing, like during radiation, I couldn't brush my teeth. Like it hurt too bad. So I had to use my finger and I used children's toothpaste and I just once over because I was like, oh my God, I'm going to lose my teeth. So here I am, half a tongue, no teeth. I got to do something. I was able to use a toothbrush. Isn't that so crazy? I was able to brush my teeth. Milestone, but still using children's toothpaste. So it was like a month and a half after I started to do that. And my energy didn't come back for a very long time. And that's because my radiation made my thyroid go woo down. So then they prescribed me thyroid medication and I started to get my energy back. So I was like, I'm starting to feel like once I had some energy, I was like, starting to feel like myself coming back. But I had no
Mm.
idea that radiation. would lead to problems with that, which they probably did say, like it could lead to something else, but I didn't remember at that time.
Yeah, that just reminds me that our lovely Kate, one of our trustees, who's also a doctor, recently shared with everyone in the group in the UK. That is, sorry, Americans, but you can get a test. You can test your thyroid for free via the post at home. So they've got a new type of test. And she shared the link in there so you can request one. And definitely anyone who's had radiation and struggles with long ongoing fatigue should most definitely have their thyroid checked. I've had mine checked all the time. Mine's doing absolutely fine. I'm just tired, but that's a different thing.
It's so
Um,
funny because I thought I was like, I'm all, oh, I just went through all this and I have the kids. I'm just tired. But then I was like, no, I'm like really tired. Like there was nothing that's like, I felt like the earth's gravitational pull was like just taking me in. And I was like, just let me go. Like just, but no. And so it was nice to know. Maybe mentally it pulled me out of something because I was kind of getting there. It pulled me out of something and be like, you know what? There was something wrong with that. That's why you didn't have energy. It wasn't because of the cancer. It was because of this. So I was grateful that it was an easy fix, as I do air quotes, but
yeah,
it did help. I was like, oh my gosh, I do have energy. That's what it was. That was it.
yeah, that was it.
Mhm.
And I guess so we're now going a bit further into the future, and because you're feeling, groggy for quite some time, can you remember when you felt like, huh, I think I've had a normal day? Or well, like sort of a more obviously normal doesn't exist anymore. I hate the word, but when for the first time you go like, huh,
Like an
I
easy
actually had
day.
fun today. I had
Yeah.
an easy day. Like
Yeah.
there wasn't nothing fell off, nothing broke, and I didn't collapse.
Um, let's see. I have like markers from when. So I ended radiation June 30th. And then I think like a day, it was the end of August. I was able to chew a soft noodle and I was able to chew food. Oh, here comes the dog. And I was like, I feel good. I feel good today. I chewed a noodle. Progress. Like,
Woo.
yeah, I was able to chew food. And that was what, almost 2 months after.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Okay, so that I think that's really helpful because I think it helps manage expectations of how slow the recovery
very
is, and
slow.
that
And that's okay.
must be incredibly frustrating. No?
Yeah, yeah. I
Mm.
remember as it got more and as time passed from radiation, like when I hit that month mark and I still wasn't eating food, I was like, that's when I started to be like, I am hungry. Like, because I eat, like, I'm starting to get the energy. Like, now I
Looks like we've got visitors.
I am pause. The
Just
mailman.
for just for the listeners, that's Jamie's dogs barking at the mailman. There we go. Well, they make good guard dogs, so that's what you want.
Oh yeah, but they're just all all show.
So I'm going to propose that for the next episode when we have a catch up, which will be after the summer at this point, I think it would be really great if we talk about the time like months after radiation and the slow healing, but also the new things that you discovered that we've talked about on the podcast before, but we haven't really linked to radiation before. But,
Oh
the
yeah,
new sort of oral health, jaw health, and everything else that you've had to sort of deal with over the past few years.
absolutely.
And we need to talk about toothpaste. Actually, listeners, you have a task over the summer. We want you to comment on this podcast or go on social media and find the clip for this podcast and basically share with us your grievances with toothpaste because we are going to dedicate maybe not an entire podcast to toothpaste, but we will talk about toothpaste and the frustrations that our community has with it.
Yes, something so that you never really think twice about is now going to be the, oh, yeah, it is like the holy grail.
Absolutely. Shall we finish off on the listener's question?
Yes, yes.
Yes. So, listeners' questions that came in is from someone who's just going through the motions and is in the middle of the storm. And they wanted to know, what was your first real meal or going out for a meal after you felt like fully healed or healed enough to eat something?
Uh, I did not go out
Shall I
for a
go?
very long time.
Shall I go first?
Yes.
Yeah. So I got two, bearing in mind surgery only, so it would be a lot faster. I started eating quite quickly, and it was um so this must be, sorry, I'm just doing the maths. So about 15 days after surgery, I had Alplermagerone, and what that means in English, I know. Jamie's face is like, what? It's basically a Swiss version of mac and cheese. And it's got these little macs, like macaroni. It has boiled potato, but it was like super soft boiled potato for me. And then it's made with full fat cream, lots of different cheeses like Emmental and Gruyere, and you mix them all together. And it was perfect because it's super calorific. Um, and it's one of my favorite foods, which is why I'm not allowed to eat it very often. But it was so great because usually I have to do like a cheat version, with like low fat or sour cream or whatever. But my friend from Switzerland was looking after me at the time, and she cooked like the proper traditional full fat. Oh, she put a whole knob of butter in there, and I was like, this is amazing. And it was all the cheesy goodness, and it was great when you can't eat anything hard because it's soft food. So for me, like in terms of, I mean, I was still quite very poorly and still, had all my other problems. But I remember just going there, oh, this is amazing. And it felt so good. And then it was quite a few months after that. No, 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 it wasn't. It wasn't that long after, because my operation was in February and my birthday was in March. Um, by which point I had already eaten fairly normally. And I decided for my birthday, I made my friends go to a really, really expensive restaurant that they would have never agreed to unless I had cancer. But I was like, if we're going out for food, we are having the best food going. so so we went to like a really fancy restaurant, and we had our private room. So I didn't have to worry about, slobbering and not looking great whilst eating, because it was just my friends around me and everyone understood. And also I didn't eat sourdough bread, mind you, but there was enough of the menu that I could choose. And yeah, and it, I'm as memory serves me, it was pretty amazing, but I couldn't tell you what I ate.
I'm still thinking about that mac and cheese. That sounds so good.
Mm. Oh, and they cook it over fire in a massive boiling pot of water, and you get it like at Christmas, like not Christmas, but like in the run up to Christmas when you're like doing stuff outside and things.
Oh,
So yeah, and it's a proper warmer. It's great. Alpler Macarona. If you ever go to Switzerland, check it out.
oh, it sounds so good. Mine wasn't as exciting. I can remember it wasn't a meal. I didn't eat. God, I can't remember like what meal I ate. It wasn't until much, much later. I would say like 6 months. Like I had a hard time with food. But when I could taste after radiation, I tasted coffee. I had a cup of coffee, and this was like maybe 2 months, the 2 month mark after radiation. I could taste it. I could taste the coffee, and I cried because it was the first thing I could taste. And ever since, like I crave the coffee, and I put lots of cream. Like I crave sweet, so I have like creamer and whipped cream in my coffee like every day. But I was like, oh my gosh, like it is coming back. Like it, I can taste. the coffee. I can taste coffee and I can taste peanut butter really, really vibrantly, almost more than what I feel like it tastes better. I don't know if it's because mentally, like that was the first thing I could taste, but I was like, oh my gosh, I can taste food. Like I can taste this. And then I did a little bit of peanut butter to see if I could manipulate it. Because forget it, you think bread's soft, you can't chew bread. Don't even try. Don't try it yet. I put a little bit, and I was like, I can taste the peanut butter, and it was like you. I thought I won American Idol. Like I was, it was the best day.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, that's so awesome. Oh, Jamie, thank you so much. Honestly, I'm on behalf of everyone listening. Thank you so much for going back there and sharing that with us. And we have so much more to talk about because as you were talking, I'm suddenly going, oh, we need to talk about taste and
Right,
food and
right.
toothpaste and all of that. So we've got so much more to come. I wish you the best of summer. I will see you at the end of August, maybe September. And to our listeners, thank you so much for listening in again. We really appreciate all your support, being part of this community. And oh, Jamie just brought her little boy on camera. He's very cute. And yes, and in the next episode, as we told you, we're not going to leave you high and dry for the summer. Next episode is with a fabulous lady, a fellow young tongue called Angeli Wilkerson from Texas. And she's a delight and an innovator. Really, really interesting episodes. She has created something for our community, which is brilliant and will like blow your mind. Anyhow,
Oh,
Jamie, lovely to see you
amazing.
again.
Have a wonderful holiday. I will talk to you all soon. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And again, find us on socials. Any questions you have, we're here for you. We appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Bye.